corn. That's how we're going to start this. I just was trying to find the digestive system as a background for a new PowerPoint because I didn't want to put the old one is not that good. So we're just going to review some of the things we already have talked about. And then we're going to go into diseases and disorders today. So, hi, I hope you're doing good and not losing your minds. Try your best to keep hopefully you've found my videos. I'm sorry they're terrible. I don't know how to do teacher like this, but we're doing it. Just understand, please, that I'm here, and at the very least, I can be a listening ear. But I can hook you up with resources if things are just spinning out of control for you. So please keep in touch. Okay, so we're going to get into the digestive system again. And we never covered functions, really. We've gone through the system together on the last video. And that was when I just kind of went off the rails. I didn't really have a guided, explanation of it. I just went. So now I'm trying to be a little bit more together with these. And hopefully, as we go, I won't seem so disorganized. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the different functions of the digestive system. And we've never touched on this before, but we've kind of hit on it as we've talked about the different parts of the digestive system. So the very first thing, we have to ingest something. That means that we have to take something in. So for the majority of people, that's going to mean we eat it through our mouths. But remember, and you can see in the picture that the nasopharynx hooks right up with the oropharynx. So potentially you could throw stuff through your nose if you tried, and it would be weird. Probably people have done that, but yeah, mouth. Let's go through the mouth. But there are some cases of, there was one at the hospital when I was at LDS, where they were feeding through a tube that went right into her stomach. She had an eating disorder. She had a BMI of 11. I know we've talked about that. It's so low. But yeah, sometimes they get fed directly into the stomach if they're sick in some way, and sometimes it can be a tube through their nose into the stomach. But that's ingestion. Ingestion means to take in food. So we do that through the mouth, generally. Then in the mouth, we have some digestion that happens, some chemical, because we have saliva that's breaking up some of the food particles that are coming in. If you think of what chemicals are, ultimately, we are like CHON. That's what we are. We're carbon, we're hydrogen, we're oxygen, we're nitrogen. And a lot of the stuff that we take in is made up of similar things. So we're chemically breaking it down, and mechanically means that we're actually physically touching it with our mouths and biting it and moving around. Digestion, that happens in the stomach as well. Well, not the biting, but the mechanical churning of it. We get most of our absorption in the small intestine, and then at the very end of the large intestine, we get excretion. So we're just going to go part by part and make sure you're good and solid on this. Hopefully that you've done the Gastro World thing. It's turned in. I'm still missing probably 5 or 6 kids from every class. I'm not exactly sure how to find them. So might be resorting to phone calls later. So if you haven't checked in yet and I'm going to be looking, just be like, okay, Roadhouse is coming for me, so I better just check in. Okay, so mouth. A mouth will give you a really good signal for the way this organism will eat. So if you get spare time, and maybe I'll put this in the assignment notes, maybe what I'll have you do is go look at an elephant tooth, or an elephant mouth. So maybe I might write this down, because I'm like, that's good. That was a good idea. So hopefully we won't need this. Okay, so number 1, I want you to go look at an elephant mouth, and then maybe look at a shark mouth. Let's do an elephant and a shark mouth, and just look at how their teeth are. What are their teeth like? So if we look at our teeth, because I know I have some of these. Remember, we teach anatomy, I have those. But we have the front teeth that act as slicey little knives, the incisors. So typically when you see teeth like that, it suggests that we're going to be tearing away something. biting into it, tearing away. So it could suggest like maybe we're meat eaters. We're kind of a weird animal because we can do without meat, but most of us don't. So we have our incisors, our canine teeth are these wolf ones. Those are going to be good tear into flesh type of teeth. And then if you look at our molars, those are good masher teeth. So those are going to be very good mechanical digesters. So when we take a carrot into our mouth like this kid is, he's using his incisors first, and he's going to push it back against his molars, and it will get some mechanical digestion. So saliva will get squirt in there, and then we'll get some mechanical and chemical digestion. Okay, from this slide, I wanted to pick a picture of the pharynx where you could see all of the different parts, and you could see how interconnected they are. So there it is. Those three parts make up the pharynx. So the space behind the nose is the nasopharynx, and the space behind the mouth is the oropharynx, and then we've got the laryngopharynx, which doesn't necessarily apply to the digestive system, except when maybe the food goes into the wrong tube, which has happened to all of us. It's embarrassing, but it happens. But what the pharynx is a passageway. That's essentially it. There's just a space for it to travel down. And then we hit the esophagus. So this is a long muscular tube. When we say muscular, we're talking about smooth muscle that connects the throat down to the stomach. And all it is a passageway for food. So we're going to squish down it, sploosh again into the stomach. And I found a super funny cartoon. Look at it. Okay, so the stomach sits between the esophagus and the small intestine. And we get a lot of digestion happening here, particularly chemical and mechanical digestion, because this is where we're really breaking it down. We've chewed it up. We've passed it down to the stomach. Now the stomach has that acid and then the mashing happening. So a lot of digestion happening here. It can store there for a minute. So kind of interesting when you take a deep breath and you allow it to become a belly breath. If you remember, like your lungs will expand, and when they expand, your diaphragm is kind of flattening out, and it's pushing everything below it somewhere. It's got to push somewhere, so it kind of pushes out. Sometimes your stomach gets a little too full. So on Thanksgiving, for example, we'll wear our stretchy pants. We're all wearing stretchy pants. All of us stretchy pants all the time now, because we don't even know. Is it pajama time for daytime? Is it pajama time for nighttime? It's pajamas all the time, but maybe just switch off. Like maybe your cuter pajamas for day and your comfier ones for night, I guess. But okay, so on Thanksgiving, that's where I came from. Thanksgiving, you maybe will overdo and get a little extra tryptophan, eat lots of turkey and mashed potatoes. And this is a great cartoon for that, because like, they're so good, let's just keep on eating it. And the stomach's like, please stop. But the stomach will get larger. It'll actually expand, and it will push into the other organs, and it will kind of, that's why we need to loosen belts and everything. Maybe we should just take a little walk after that big amount of calories. But yeah, we get storage there for a minute, absorption, a minimal amount. Most of the absorption's happening here. So when we get into the small intestine, remember we have 3 parts. So if you forgot the 3 parts, refer to the last video, because it was amazing. But also because I talked about those 3 sections. So first section is going to be the duodenum, or if you talk weird, I guess duodenum, whatever. Duodenum. And then the middle section of it is our jejunum. And then we get to the ileum. And the ileum will dump directly into the cecum of the large intestine. But basically in this one, like whatever micronutrients your body needs. So we could have a fruit that has maybe a lot of vitamin C, maybe some vitamin A in it, and it's going to be like, oh, we need that. So it'll be like, grab it with the little villi surface area, and it's going to take it to where the body needs it. Also carbs. We need carbs for energy. If you remember how we decide energy, it goes first carbs, and then so carbs would be like glucose. then glycogen, like a stored form of carbohydrates. This is for energy. So if this is your body's preference. Glucose, glycogen, so stored carbohydrates. And then our next preference is fats and then protein. So protein, if you kind of think of that as macronutrient, that is one we use for growth and repair. We don't typically use protein for energy unless maybe we've been starved for so long that's when we start to go for it. But generally, yeah, all of these nutrients, whether they're macro, micro, eventually will be broken down enough that we can absorb it here in the small intestine. And then the large intestine. So I picked one that had the cecum in it. I hope you can see that okay because it's a little bit blurry. But you can't see where I'm pointing, but it's wherever my picture is, over there, maybe over there. I don't know. But where the little appendix is hanging off, it hangs from the cecum. And the cecum is also where the small intestine enters into the large intestine. So it's kind of the bottom part of the ascending colon. So we never talked about the cecum before. And you'll see it spelled like this one has kind of the old spelling C-A-E-C-U-M, or you'll see a C-E-C-U-M. That's just that section of the large intestine. So it's called the large intestine because of the diameter of it. So you saw in the last one, the small intestine is actually longer. I'll have to look up that data, maybe throw that up here, or maybe, you can look it up. How long, small intestine. You guys look that one up. Use metrics because we're smart and we don't have to keep doing this kind of math. It's 2020. We're working at home. Okay, so the small intestine's long. You find out how long. How long is it? And then I also want you to, for number trace, we're going to say the large intestine. How long is it? So you can see like one's longer than the other. And maybe what's the diameter of the tube? Remember, we're just a series of tubes. So, okay, the large intestine. Then it goes ascending colon, transverse, descending colon. Then there's the little sigmoid section, rectum anus. And generally we're pretty done with absorption here, but not all the way. So it will leach the water from the whatever waste is left from what we've sucked out of it in the small intestine. Electrolytes, vitamin K. But mainly this organ is about like, all right, let's just get rid of this crap. So we're eventually going to move it, we're good about extracting what we need. So we extract what we need in the small intestine, whatever's left in the large intestine, and then it's time to get rid of it. So we go to rectum Ralph. I thought that was kind of a funny shape, but I was like, oh, I might need to get that one. There's a stuffed animal called Rectum Ralph, and it actually looks like a rectum. So yeah, I need that stuffed animal. This is the final section of the large intestine. It acts as a storage area for waste, and this is a not so fun fact. So if you get constipated, the rectum can actually stretch. So it's stretched out, and it won't sometimes. So then your distal portion of your rectum is kind of stretched, and when you finally get rid of the waste, sometimes the rectum will maintain that shape that it had when the person was constipated. And so the person that was constipated won't get signals that, hey, you need to defecate. When there's the right amount of waste, it'll wait until it's like the wrong amount of waste. And so if that happens, a person would have to, I want to call it sand. They'll have to have like metamucil, just a stool softener for a little bit so they can get the rectum back in shape. They got to get that thing back in shape so they don't have to wait until they have a baby size, Okay, and then we get to the anus, and I thought, well, that's the greatest picture I could have ever picked. Right there. So this is the final portion of the digestive tract. We do have nerve signals that go there that basically signal the brain to say, okay, I'm comfy here. Let's get rid of some of this. And then your brain will be like, okay, bathroom, please. Thank you. Okay, diseases and disorders. So Crohn's disease is essentially like inflammation of the bowel. So this is going to be in the large intestine, and they have basically just inflammatory bowel disease. So you can kind of see it. I keep trying to point. You can see it over there, wherever it is in the Crohn's disease picture. They get scar tissue that builds up and becomes inflamed, and it's not something they can even reverse. Here's what's terrible is you end up with the lining of the digestive tract just kind of closing in on itself a little bit. It causes, you can see the symptoms there: abdominal pain, diarrhea, weight loss, anemia, fatigue, and some people don't even know they have it. So you can have strategies for dealing with this that people have sort of found. Like turmeric is something, it's just kind of an anti-inflammatory nutrient. So I have a little supplement of turmeric every day because I'm old and I want to protect my joints. So I'll have turmeric. Green tea is another thing that you can use for Crohn's disease. I've never tried marshmallow leaf, but I'll bet it's pretty tasty. Slippery elm diet, so you can change your diet. So you kind of have to listen to your body and decide what aggravates it more and what doesn't. So you can look at those other ones that are listed, but it's an inflammatory thing. They can control some things like put you on immunosuppressants, because it is basically you attacking yourself, or they can do things like steroid treatments. But really, this is one that's like chronic. It's just kind of too bad. You have to find strategies that will work. Then we have celiac disease. I know we've talked about this one. I think we have in class, maybe not. But remember, we have villi inside the intestines, and those villi add surface area that we can absorb the nutrients, but also kind of help to move the food along with also squish, because the peristalsis happening too. But with celiac disease, you might start to have those symptoms that are showing on the human body in this little picture. It might show up as lactose intolerance, anemia, dizziness, migraines, depression, low vitamin D, chronic fatigue. And half the time when they get a diagnosis, if there's no blood in the stool, because that can be something that happens if the villi are getting like rubbed raw, if they know that there's some things happening in the digestive system, it's a quick, easy find, and they can deal with it. But basically, there are some gluten proteins that are in certain types of wheat that really aggravate people. That's what celiac disease is. So you got to avoid gluten. That's the cure for it. And then you actually get some villi growth back, and it's not acting like sandpaper right inside the digestive system. This one is my least favorite, if I were to be honest. Okay, appendicitis. Itis is always inflammation of whatever precedes the word, or that word part, and it's appendicitis. So in this case, we have inflammation of that little dingly dang hanging off the cecum, and it will cause pain, and it's a good amount of pain. I would say like less than childbirth. I've had 3 kids. Less than childbirth, but more than like, stubbing your toe. Or punch in the gut. It's more than that. But for me, it radiated kind of higher than they anticipated. So sometimes they'll say it's always going to be like lower right side. That's where the appendix sits. But sometimes it can radiate in weird ways. So just be really attuned to your body, because in this case, it hits you pretty hard. And it's not something that you can ignore. That's what people have told me in the past, and I've been like, huh. And then it happened, and I'm like, it's real. You can't ignore it. And you'll go to the doctor, and they'll snap it out, and they won't let you have it, but they'll let you have this picture. Ooh, this is my appendix. It's now gone forever. Make sure you guys contact me, contact our school. Well, you have, all of us teachers are like pulling for you. We want to help if you need help. That's who we are. That's who we want to be for you. So let us help you. It helps us. It helps our mental state if we can reach out and help you guys. Third term is in the books ish. The door slammed on it. However, we're in weird times and I haven't been able to connect with a few kids. So please keep spreading the word. This is where you find the classes on Canvas, discussion sections, announcement sections, assignments, and it will link you from there to whatever I'm doing on YouTube, which is goofy and weird. But I'm trying, you guys. I'm really trying. Please just let me know how you are. Miss you.